Hello, everybody. This is day 32 of 365 days of my raw suspending disbelief journey. It is May 24th, 2024, and I have a random collection of things that I want to share today. So, first of all, I think I mentioned in yesterday's episode the quest that I had with Alex, unblocking myself from abundance, basically, through destroying an old piece of my soul contract that no longer applied, and rewriting it. Now, next day, after this healing and all of that had been done, I had all of a sudden, I mean, first of all, I was really leaning into the flow, right? The nudges, all of that. So the next day, I ended up spending 6 hours on doing my taxes, which is brilliant. I am never inspired to do my taxes. Like I said, hire accountability to do them, usually past their due date, um, and end up, self-sabotaging in that way where I lose the income. So the reason I'm bringing this up again today, I realized that, and maybe this was already clear in yesterday's episode, I don't know, but I really am integrating this information. So maybe repeating it a few times is important. I'm not sure. Um, but I realized I have been blocking the flow of abundance by not doing my tax stuff. And okay, as I say that out loud, it feels abundantly clear, abundantly obvious. It feels like how stupid that I didn't know or that I didn't realize, kind of a thing. But a lot of the time, my mindset was like, I'm putting the time in my business because I need to make the money in my business. And the thing is that not doing my taxes makes me lose more money that can support me while I'm building up my business. So I get, here in Canada, there are a lot of benefits that most people under a certain income level are able to access, um, child benefits, things like this. So when I don't do my taxes on time, those get cut off because they're like, well, we don't know what income level you're at. So you are like, too bad, so sad kind of thing. You have to do your taxes if you want to get these benefits. So, and I do know that for most of my American listeners, you're going to be like, what do you mean you just like didn't do your taxes? And because I know the IRS in the States is a lot more, um, intense, uh, more like on top of it. Like you can get in a lot of trouble. Where in Canada, especially for myself. So if I earned a lot more money, it might be a different story. But having been in a lower income tax bracket for most of my life, um, I I could fly under the radar in a sense, right? I could um, not do them for for years and not be fined or really anything because I didn't owe money ever, almost ever. And anyway, going off on a tangent there, but what I realized yet again was that I was blocking that flow. So when I do my taxes on time, there will not be a period of me being out that money that I get every month, um, or out the money that randomly comes in at different times throughout the year. So the realization I had yesterday that there was a payment coming through that I had forgotten about, that would be in before the end of the month and make it so that I had the rent money in time. Um, that was those kinds of payments would also stop, right? If I don't get my taxes in on time. And what I do find is that when they're already late, So for most projects for me, I work really well on a deadline. So give me a deadline, I'm going to do it in like the last possible second before that deadline. And I'll do my best work in that time crunch, or at least that's what I tell myself. Um, and with this, though, I would go beyond the deadline and be like, well, it's already late. So what's the rush? And it would just drag on and on and on. And it was so counterintuitive and so self sabotaging and all of the things. But it just has been a major sticking point for me. So for me to do that was massive. Um, so I had this like extra clarity on how much I was really blocking my flow of abundance by not doing my tax stuff, by saying, nope, it has to come in through my business and I don't care about that tax money that I get, about the benefits that I get. Like, that's not important. Nope, only my business. It's like me saying to the universe, that money's not interesting. I don't care about that money. I don't want it. Right. So if I'm not having the gratitude for the abundance that comes my way, if I'm not um, kind of honoring and respecting that by prioritizing it before its deadline, I am blocking the flow of abundance in general, not just with tax money or benefit money, um, but that it actually affects all of my abundance across the board. So that was the big realization. And the other messages I was kind of getting along with that is that my intuition has been trying to tell me for a while that I need to be on this stuff, that I need to be more consistent with my budget, with tracking my expenses, with tracking my income, with like all of these things. And my intuition has been, I have been getting nudge after nudge after nudge, and I've been fighting it so hard. Looking at my bank account has never been my favorite thing, right? And I can't wait for it to be. I can't wait to look at it and be just so lit up by how much money is in there. But what the realization that came is I will never get there if I'm not looking at it now. I need to look at it now, because that's what I would do when I'm that person. When I am the person who has so much money in my bank account that it lights me up to look at it, I will look at it all the time. So why am I not looking at it all the time right now? Because if I want to call in that level, that vibration, I need to be in it now. And that means looking at my bank account every day now, looking at my transactions, keeping up on my budget, all of that kind of stuff, and getting my taxes in on time, which means, because it's not a small project, that I need to be working on it for solid chunks of time, multiple times before the deadline. So my intuition has been trying to tell me. I have been ignoring it. And I even got the message, you've been feeling guilty about not listening. Yep. I I could definitely identify with that one when I heard it. I was like, yep, that is very true. I feel guilty all the time about not checking my bank balance, about not making sure that all my bills are paid on time, about not keeping up with my budget and checking in with my expenses, and even knowing if it's okay to sign up for something before I sign up for something, having not great money habits. And that is like, I feel guilty about it all the time. I feel guilty about not getting my taxes in on time all the time. I feel guilty about, not what I don't know, whatever. I am consistently feeling guilty in that way. And that is beating up on myself for something that I have full control over and am choosing not to do. Right. So I have been feeling guilty about not listening. Yes. My intuition has been trying to tell me for a while. Yes. What changed was that this piece of my soul contract was keeping me stuck in this rut of procrastination and avoidance. And it was the one thing that could hold me back, because I am powerful. I am strong enough. I am smart enough. I do shine bright enough. All of the things. I am that person already. I am more than worth the big money that I want to call in. And I haven't been, just because of this. This has been the thing. And the ripple from it, the like next thing that it caused was my procrastination and my beating up on myself, feeling guilty because and those feelings of guilt and beating up on ourselves are so detrimental to the outcomes that we want to have. So if my success is inevitable, I cannot be sitting here feeling guilty, beating up on myself, all of those things. Well, how do I stop doing that? By just doing the damn thing that I'm making myself feel guilty about, right? So it all makes perfect sense. It's all perfectly logical. But as we know, very often we are not very logical, especially as an ADHD woman, especially as a multi passionate entrepreneur. All of these things, I am not always very logical. So, as much as I am perfectly capable of and competent enough to be very logical, I often am not. So, okay, enough beating that dead horse. Um, I also had a really funny one, a realization that came up. I was um, sitting with my 3-year-old Casey, and she was watching Blaze and the Monster Machines. It's a show about monster trucks that are animated, that are, they have adventures and challenges and all of these things. And it's a very, it's like a preschool learning or early years learning kind of a show. So a lot of it is they'll be teaching something in each episode. Anyway, in this episode that she was watching while I was working on some things, the episode was focused on force and what force is. And of course, they're talking about it in a scientific way, right? They're talking about it as far as math goes, science goes, all of that, how pushing and pulling are both forms of force. And I swear to you, my jaw dropped. I had this like all of a sudden awareness that I have been looking at spiritual or energetic um, force or vibrational force as only pushing. So if I'm forcing someone, if I'm pushing them to do something that they don't want to do, or if I'm forcing myself to work through something that doesn't feel right, or, something like that, where I'm pushing forward, it felt more like a pushing forward kind of a thing. And what I hadn't realized was that it's not just the pushing through, but it's also trying to pull things in to us when it's not the right timing or it's not in alignment. When we think we know what's best for ourselves and we really don't, right? So we're trying to manifest, especially in the world of manifestation, right? We're trying to manifest things. We're trying to call in a certain number of clients, which maybe we don't actually have the capacity to serve that many clients. Ooh, a robin just landed on my garage. So pretty. But or maybe we are trying to force ourselves to charge an amount that we are not energetically ready to charge. And so we're not going to be able to call in the clients that will pay us that amount. Or, again, just not universal or divine timing, right? Not that perfectly aligned energy that comes when we allow. When we are pulling things into us like that and forcing it, we end up it ends up backfiring, right? We end up, if we do call in those clients, they end up not being perfect because we weren't ready for it. Or maybe they were perfect, but we weren't perfect for them. And we end up having bad experiences or, whatever that might look like. It could be many, many different situations. And again, here, if I had ever sat and looked at it logically, I would have been able to identify that that was forcing something that wasn't ready. But I had only ever thought of it before as a pushing thing and not a pulling thing. So for me, that really put what receiving and allowing means into perspective for me. So instead of receiving it, I think pulling sort of fell under receiving in my mind before. And that's just, it's not true. Pulling is force. They said it in my 3-year-old show, right? Like my mind was so blown. I stared at the wall to think about it for quite a while. Like I was just like, whoa, I need to like restructure my brain here because that is not what I thought before at all. But it makes so much sense that even that pulling is still force. So if you are trying to manifest something, if you are trying to get to a goal or achieve some end, so for example, in this challenge, I am suspending disbelief that my success is inevitable and that I'm exactly where I should be. But if I am going, okay, so my success looks like this, and I'm going to do, or I'm going to pull things towards me, I'm going to specifically draw in what I want when I want it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not allowing. I'm not actually receiving. I am forcing. And so I need to take my hands off the wheel more and say, I'm ready. I'm here. I'm open for it. You know exactly what I want. And tune in, which I've been doing a lot over the last few days, right? I've been very focused on this where I'm taking the time to tune in and go, what do I do now? What do you need from me in order for me to be able to receive my inevitable success? In order for me to be exactly where I should be to achieve that inevitable success. I am suspending disbelief. I am trusting whatever comes and I'm following it, right? So, again, trusting myself to create the experiences that I want to have because I tune in and access that divine wisdom, that source energy, that, um, you know, God mindset or your guides or whatever you want to call it. I've heard it called so many things. But I do trust myself to create the experience I want to have because I have my divine spirit team, gods, goddesses, ancestors, angels, you know, guides, guardians, all the things. They've got my back. And if I just shut up long enough to hear what they have to tell me, and oh my gosh, the signs that they send are never ending. If you just pay attention long enough, you can allow and receive without either the forward pushing force or the pulling force, that more back towards you force. So I felt like this was a massive realization. I know it's a small little tweak, but these things usually are the biggest realizations. So I wanted to share it. The very last thing I had to share was my two business besties, my unofficial mastermind ladies, Jess and Kelly, were in the UK. And I was pulling my daily cards that I always pull, and I pulled this one card, which every time it comes up, it speaks about me, Jess, and Kelly, like it just does. And anyways, it's from a mermaid deck, and it's a triplets card. So there's three identical triplet mermaids on this card, and so I mean, they were there. I was wishing that I could be with them. Um, And it, one of the messages in the book for this card um, was about not being there bodily, but being with them in mind and spirit. And it was like, oh, yeah, like, and I totally was. It was just like, it was like all day I was disconnected from here and now a little bit because part of me was over there with them. And it was so much fun because they got together with Alex, because Alex lives in the UK, which again, a little bit jealous, but super happy for them. But they got to get together and meet up, and everybody, Jess, Kelly, and Alex all were hanging out, and they called me so that we could all chat while everybody was together. And they ended up, when they were going to do a picture of the three of them, since they were all in the same country, all in the same spot at once, they were talking about doing this. And I was like, hey, you know what? Hold up the phone with my face on it and I'll be in the picture too. And so we got a picture with the four of us all in the picture, even though I'm on a phone screen, but it's fine. And it was just, it was silly, it was fun, but it was also really, really cool. It was like, aha, we have a picture of all four of us together. And I'm super excited that I have this picture now of all four of us. These are my people, and I am super excited about it. So I wanted to share about that as well, even though it might be a little bit silly, even though, whatever, all the things. I was there in mind and spirit with my biz besties. In the UK, which I cannot wait to visit someday in the 3D world. And yeah, that is what I have for you today. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. Love ya.